Popcorn, also called popped corn, popcorns, or popcorn, is a variety of corn kernel which expands and puffs up when heated. The term also refers to the snack food produced by the expansion. It is one of the oldest snacks, with evidence of popcorn dating back thousands of years in the Americas. It is commonly eaten salted, buttered, sweetened, or with artificial flavorings. A popcorn kernel's strong hull contains the seed's hard, starchy shell endosperm with 14 to 20% moisture, which turns to steam as the kernel is heated. Pressure from the steam continues to build until the hull ruptures, allowing the kernel to forcefully expand to 20 to 50 times its original size, and then cool. Some strains of corn, taxonomized as Z maize, are cultivated specifically as popping corns. The Z maize variety Everta, a special kind of flint corn, is the most common of these. Popcorn is one of 6 major types of corn, which includes dent corn, flint corn, pod corn, flour corn, and sweet corn. History corn was domesticated about 9,000 years ago in what is now the Balsas River Valley of central Mexico. Archaeologists discovered that people have known about popcorn for millennia. Fossil evidence from Peru suggests that corn was present there as early as 4,700 BCE and popped there over 1,000 years ago. Between 2007 and 2011, evidence as early as 4,700 BCE for popping corn was discovered as macrofossil cobs at the Perdones and Huaca, Prieta archaeological sites on the northern coast of Peru. Corn cultivation was present in Amazon basin farming practices, as evidenced by cultivation of corn in the Amazon basin 6,000 years ago. In 1948 and 1950, evidence as early as 3600 BCE for popping corn as ears of popcorn were discovered by Harvard anthropology graduate student Herbert W. Dick and Harvard botany graduate student Claude Earl Smith, Jr., 1922 to 1987, in a complex of rock shelters, dubbed the Bat Cave, in Catron County, west-central New Mexico, and attributed to the ancestral Puebloan peoples, who maintained trade networks with peoples in tropical Mexico. Through the 19th century, popping of the kernels was achieved by hand, on stove tops over flame. Kernels were sold on the east coast of the United States under names such as pearls or nonpareil. The term popped corn first appeared in John Russell Bartlett's 1848 Dictionary of Americanisms. Popcorn is an ingredient in Cracker Jack, and in the early years of the product, it was popped by hand. An early popcorn machine in a street cart, invented in the 1880s by Charles Creters in Chicago. Popcorn's accessibility increased rapidly in the 1890s with Charles Creters' invention of the popcorn maker. Creters, a Chicago candy store owner, had created a number of steam-powered machines for roasting nuts and applied the technology to the corn kernels. By the turn of the century, Creters had created and deployed street carts equipped with steam-powered popcorn makers. Specimen of Z maize Everta during the Great Depression, popcorn was fairly inexpensive at 5 to 10 cents a bag and became popular. Thus, while other businesses failed, the popcorn business thrived and became a source of income for many struggling farmers and entrepreneurs, including the Riedenbacher family, namesake of the Orville Riedenbacher's popcorn brand. During World War II, sugar rations diminished candy production, and Americans compensated by eating 3 times as much popcorn as they had before. The snack was popular at theaters, much to the initial displeasure of many of the theater owners, who thought it distracted from the films. Their minds eventually changed, however, and in 1930, a Midwestern theater owner named Glenn W. Dickinson Sr. installed popcorn machines in the lobbies of his Dickinson theaters. Popcorn was more profitable than theater tickets, and at the suggestion of his production consultant, R. Ray Aiden, Dickinson purchased popcorn farms and was able to keep ticket prices down. The venture was a success, and popcorn soon spread. The rise of television in the 1940s brought lower popcorn consumption as theater attendance fell. The Popcorn Institute, a trade association of popcorn processors, promoted popcorn consumption at home, bringing it back to previous levels. An ear of popcorn grown in an Oklahoma organic garden in 1970, Orville Riedenbacher's namesake brand of popcorn was launched. In 1981, General Mills received the first patent for a microwave oven popcorn bag. Popcorn consumption saw an increase. At least 6 localities, all in the Midwestern United States, claimed to be the popcorn capital of the world. Ridgway, Illinois, Valparaiso, Indiana, Van Buren, Indiana, Schaller, Iowa, Marion, Ohio, and North Loop, Nebraska. According to the USDA, specific corn for popcorn is grown mostly in Nebraska and Indiana, and increasingly in Texas. As the result of an elementary school project, popcorn became the official state snack food of Illinois. Popping mechanism: each kernel of popcorn contains moisture and oil. Unlike most other grains, the outer hull of the popcorn kernel is strong and impervious to moisture, and the starch inside consists almost entirely of a hard type. The sequence of a kernel, popping: as the oil and water in the kernel are heated, they turn into steam. Under these conditions, the starch inside the kernel gelatinizes and softens. The steam pressure increases until the breaking point of the hull is reached. A pressure of approximately 930 kilopascal, 135 psi, and a temperature of 180 degrees C, 356 degrees F. The hull ruptures, causing a sudden drop in pressure inside the kernel and a corresponding rapid expansion of the steam, which expands the starch and proteins of the endosperm into airy foam. As the foam rapidly cools, the starch and protein polymers set into the familiar crispy puff. Special varieties are grown to improve popping yield. Though the kernels of some other types will pop, the cultivated strain for popcorn is Z. maize everta, which is a variety of flint corn. White versus yellow popcorn: the main differences between white and yellow popcorn lie in their appearance, texture, flavor and size, color and appearance. White popcorn pops into smaller, bright white, tender flakes, while yellow popcorn pops into larger, sturdier flakes with a golden or yellowish tint. Texture: white popcorn has a thinner hull, making it more tender and softer, with fewer hulls to get stuck in teeth. Yellow popcorn has a thicker hull, resulting in crunchier popcorn that holds up better to heavy toppings like caramel. Flavor: white popcorn has a subtle, slightly sweet and nuttier flavor, making it a milder base for delicate seasonings. Yellow popcorn has a richer, more robust corn flavor with nutty and buttery notes, often preferred for classic movie theater-style popcorn. Size: yellow kernels are larger and pop into bigger pieces, about 45 times their size, whereas white kernels are smaller and denser. Nutritional value: both types are very similar nutritionally, low in fat and calories, and good sources of fiber. White popcorn might have a slight edge in calories and fiber per serving, but the difference is minimal. Cooking methods: in-home hot air popcorn maker. A commercial popcorn making machine popcorn can be cooked with butter or oil. It can also be popped in the microwave, a hot dry pan, or a hot air popper with no oil or butter. Although small quantities can be popped in a stovetop kettle or pot in a home kitchen, commercial sale employs specially designed popcorn machines, which were invented in Chicago, Illinois, by Charles Creters in 1885. Creters introduced his invention at the Columbian Exposition in 1893. At that fair, F.W. Ruckheim introduced a molasses-flavored, candied popcorn, the first caramel corn. His brother, Louis Ruckheim, slightly altered the recipe and introduced it as Cracker Jack in 1896. Popcorn being cooked in a pan. Creters' invention was the first patented steam-driven machine that popped corn in oil. Previously, vendors popped corn by holding a wire basket over an open flame. At best, the result was hot, dry, and unevenly cooked. Creters' machine popped corn in a mixture of 1/3 clarified butter, 2/3 lard, and salt. This mixture can withstand the 232 degrees C, 450 degrees F temperature needed to pop corn and produces little smoke. A fire under a boiler created steam that drove a small engine to drive gears, shaft, and the agitator that stirred the corn, and also powered a small puppet, the Toasty Roasty Man, an attention-getting amusement to attract business. A wire connected to the top of the cooking pan allowed the operator to disengage the drive mechanism, lift the cover, and dump popped corn into the storage bin beneath. Exhaust from the steam engine was piped to a pan below the corn storage bin and kept freshly popped corn warm. Excess steam was also used to operate a small, shrill whistle to attract attention. A different method of popcorn making involves the popcorn hammer, a large cast iron canister that is sealed with a heavy lid and slowly turned over a fire in rotisserie fashion. Expansion and yield popping results are sensitive to the rate at which the kernels are heated. If heated too quickly, The steam in the outer layers of the kernel can reach high pressures and rupture the hull before the starch in the center of the kernel can fully gelatinize, leading to partially popped kernels with hard centers. Heating too slowly leads to entirely unpopped kernels. The tip of the kernel, where it attached to the cob, is not entirely moisture-proof, and when heated slowly, the steam can leak out of the tip fast enough to keep the pressure from rising sufficiently to break the hull and cause the pop. Producers and sellers of popcorn consider two major factors in evaluating the quality of popcorn: what percentage of the kernels will pop, and how much each popped kernel expands. Expansion is an important factor to both the consumer and vendor. For the consumer, larger pieces of popcorn tend to be more tender and are associated with higher quality. For the grower, distributor, and vendor, expansion is closely correlated with profit. Vendors such as theaters buy popcorn by weight and sell it by volume. For these reasons, higher expansion popcorn fetches a higher profit per unit weight. Popcorn will pop when freshly harvested, but not well. Its high moisture content leads to poor expansion and chewy pieces of popcorn. Kernels with a high moisture content are also susceptible to mold when stored. For these reasons, popcorn growers and distributors dry the kernels until they reach the moisture level at which they expand the most. This differs by variety and conditions, but is generally in the range of 14 to 15% moisture by weight. If the kernels are overdried, the expansion rate will suffer and the percentage of kernels that pop will decline. Old popcorn tends to dry out, lowering the yield. When the popcorn has finished popping, sometimes unpopped kernels remain. Known in the popcorn industry as old maids, these kernels fail to pop because they do not have enough moisture to create enough steam for an explosion. Rehydrating prior to popping usually results in eliminating the unpopped kernels. Popcorn varieties are broadly categorized by the shape of the kernels, the color of the kernels, or the shape of the popped corn. While the kernels may come in a variety of colors, the popped corn is always off yellow or white, as it is only the hull, or pericarp, that is colored. Rice-type popcorn have a long kernel pointed at both ends. Pearl-type kernels are rounded at the top. Commercial popcorn production has moved mostly to pearl types. Historically, pearl popcorn were usually yellow and rice popcorn usually white. Today both shapes are available in both colors, as well as others including black, red, mauve, purple, and variegated. Mauve and purple popcorn usually have smaller and nutty kernels. Commercial production is dominated by white and yellow. Terminology mushroom-shaped popcorn left is less fragile and less tender than butterfly-shaped right. In the popcorn industry, a popped kernel of corn is known as a flake. Two shapes of flakes are commercially important. Butterfly, or snowflake, flakes are irregular in shape and have a number of protruding wings. Mushroom flakes are largely ball-shaped, with few wings. Butterfly flakes are regarded as having better mouthfeel, with greater tenderness and less noticeable hulls. Mushroom flakes are less fragile than butterfly flakes and are therefore often used for packaged popcorn or confectionery, such as caramel corn. The kernels from a single cob of popcorn may form both butterfly and mushroom flakes. Hybrids that produce 100% butterfly flakes or 100% mushroom flakes exist. The latter developed only as recently as 1998. Consumption popcorn grown in Mozambique and sold in the marketplace. Popcorn is a popular snack food at sporting events and in movie theaters, where it has been served since the 1930s. Cinemas have come under fire due to their high markup on popcorn. Stuart Hansen, a film historian at De Montfort University in Leicester, once said, "One of the great jokes in the industry is that popcorn is second only to cocaine or heroin in terms of profit." Traditions differ as to whether popcorn is consumed as a hearty snack food with salt, predominating in the United States, or as a sweet snack food with caramelized sugar, predominating in Germany. Popcorn customs around savory, salty, and sweet flavors vary by region and demographic, but in the US, preferences are diverse and evolving, salty-savory. The majority of Americans prefer salty or savory popcorn, with butter and salted varieties being the most popular, accounting for about 47% of sales. Other top savory flavors include white cheddar, Parmesan, garlic salt, and various cheese options. Sea salt and olive oil are also gaining traction, especially among health-conscious consumers. Sweet popcorn, such as caramel corn and kettle corn, is also widely enjoyed. Caramel is consistently ranked among the top flavors, and sweet options like white chocolate, chocolate, and seasonal varieties, e.g., pumpkin spice, peppermint, are growing in popularity. About 41% of Americans say they like their popcorn sweet. Flavor innovation. There is a trend toward unique and globally inspired flavors, including truffle, chili, Mediterranean herbs, lime, and matcha, reflecting consumers' curiosity and willingness to try new tastes, especially among younger generations. Plain. A smaller but notable segment, about 21%, prefers plain popcorn, often for health reasons or as a base for custom seasoning. Movie theater popcorn in a bucket popcorn smell has an unusually attractive quality for human beings. This is largely because it contains high levels of the chemicals 6-acetyl 3, 4, 5-tetrahydropyridine and 2-acetyl-1-pyrroline, very powerful aroma compounds that are also used by food and other industries either to make products that smell like popcorn, bread, or other foods containing the compound in nature, or for other purposes. A bag of popcorn. Popcorn as a breakfast cereal was consumed by Americans in the 1800s and generally consisted of popcorn with milk and a sweetener. Gangninggi, Korean popcorn balls, popped kernels stuck together with a sugary glue, were hugely popular around the turn of the 20th century, but their popularity has since waned. Popcorn balls are still served in some places as a traditional Halloween treat. Cracker Jack is a popular, commercially produced candy that consists of peanuts mixed in with caramel-covered popcorn. Kettle corn is a variation of normal popcorn, cooked with white sugar and salt, traditionally in a large copper kettle. Once reserved for specialty shops and county fairs, kettle corn has recently become popular, especially in the microwave popcorn market. The popcorn maker is a relatively new home appliance, and its popularity is increasing because it offers the opportunity to add flavors of the consumer's own choice and to choose healthy eating popcorn styles. Popped sorghum is popular as a snack in India. The popped sorghum is similar to popcorn, but the puffs are smaller. Recipes for popping sorghum by microwave, in a pot, etc., are readily available online. Nutritional value popcorn. Air popped unsalted. Nutritional value per 100 g, 3.5 ounces. Energy 598 kilojoules, 382 kcal. Carbohydrates 78 g. Dietary fiber 15 g. Fat 4 g. Protein 12 g. Vitamins quantity thiamine, B10. 2 milligrams, 17%. Riboflavin B20. 3 milligrams, 25%. Niacin B3 2. 3 milligrams, 15%. Vitamin B 63 milligrams. Folate B9, 31 mg 8%, minerals quantity iron 2, 7 milligrams, 21%, magnesium 123 milligrams, 35%, manganese 1 milligrams, 52%, phosphorus 300 milligrams, 43%, potassium 329 milligrams, 7%, sodium 8 milligrams, 1%, zinc 1 milligrams, 33%, other constituents quantity water 4G link. To entry in USDA Food Data Central percentages estimated using U.S. recommendations for adults, except for potassium, which is estimated based on expert recommendation from the national academies. Air-popped popcorn, no salt or other additives, is 4% water, 78% carbohydrates, including 15% dietary fiber, 12% protein, and 4% fat table. In a 100-gram reference amount, popcorn provides 382 calories and is a rich source, 20% or more of the daily value, DV, of riboflavin, 25% DV, and several dietary minerals, particularly manganese, phosphorus, and zinc, 36 to 45% DV. B vitamins and other minerals are in appreciable amounts, table. Saturated fat movie theaters commonly use coconut oil to pop the corn, and then top it with butter or margarine. Movie theater popcorn contains large amounts of saturated fats and sodium due to its method of preparation. Phytochemical sorghum grains can be popped to form popcorn. All sorghums contain phenolic acids, and most contain flavonoids. Sorghum grains are one of the highest food sources of the flavonoid proanthocyanidin. Health risks popcorn is included on the list of foods that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends not serving to children under 4 because of the risk of choking. Microwavable popcorn represents a special case. since it is designed to be cooked along with its various flavoring agents. One of these formerly common artificial butter flavorants, diacetyl, has been implicated in causing respiratory illnesses in microwave popcorn factory workers, also known as popcorn lung. Major manufacturers in the United States have stopped using this chemical, including Orville Redenbacher's, Act II, Pop Secret, and Jolly Time. Other uses: popcorn, threaded onto a string, is used as a wall or Christmas tree decoration in some parts of North America, as well as on the Balkan Peninsula. Some shipping companies have experimented with using popcorn as a biodegradable replacement for expanded polystyrene packing material. However, popcorn has numerous undesirable properties as a packing material, including attractiveness to pests, flammability, and a higher cost and greater density than expanded polystyrene. A more processed form of expanded corn foam has been developed to overcome some of these limitations, forming starch-based foam peanuts.